Hello, my name is Emily, and I'm here today with nationally recognized authority and trust clause litigation, Dan Dalton. So, Dan, many conferences have stay groups that activate once they become aware of the intent of the local church to leave the United Methodist Church. What is the playbook of the stay group?
Well, this is not an unusual or a difficult question to answer because it's been used over and over and over again in the Episcopal Church litigations, in the the litigations of the Presbyterian Church USA, and of the UCC Church. The playbook's written out in a book called Steeplejacking. It's a book that was published in the early 2000s by Sheldon Culver and John Dorhar. It's out of print right now. But in here, they talk about strategies against steeplejacking. And steeplejacking they define as conservative groups who come into a local church and have that church leave the denomination. And the UCC at one time had something over like 2 million, close to 2.5 million members, and now they're about 500,000 members, and they've lost a lot of members to this particular thing. So this book was developed by these two individuals that are talking about how do we keep the local churches intact, and in their chapters is how local churches can fight back. And what the playbook is as follows: is they really want to expose the discussion within the local church when it first starts. So the idea is from the stay group side is as soon as they hear the local church's intent to leave, they will notify their district superintendent, notify their pastors, provide information to everybody they can think of, so that people come into the local church, clergy come into the local church to basically nip this in the bud. And they find that that's the best strategy. So it could be removing the pastor. It could be things as draconian as closing a preschool or stopping ministries like a senior ministry or whatnot. Replacing leaders as well on boards. That's really another strategy that's done. But it's at the outset, is once they learn they do this, to identify the individuals who are speaking about disaffiliation, to basically shun them from the church and remove them from the church. That's the first strategy. If that doesn't work, the next strategy is to have meetings, public meetings, where the denomination comes in and talks about how great the denomination is and how bad it would be for the local church to leave. The third thing is to make sure that the stay group has the chancellor, which is the attorney for the local conference, to become involved and make sure that the articles of incorporation and the bylaws are changed, so that the local conference controls the church. That happened in Joplin, Missouri, for a Methodist church who announced that they were interested in leaving, and the conference amended the articles and amended the deeds. And once the local church found out that, or told the conference that they're leaving, the conference had already changed everything, so they lost all their property. And really it's that kind of thing of just kind of being aware of what's happening, and then just kind of publishing or publicizing what's going on. And that's really kind of like the theme of this book, Steeplejacking. That's the playbook that's used by the stay groups throughout the United States. That's what happens.
What should a local church do in response to the stay group's actions?
Well, the first thing to do is I would recommend is find this book so you know what the playbook is, and you can kind of read through it all. And even though it's out of print, you can find it on a couple of different sources on Amazon and whatnot. But find out what their playbook is, so that you can work around what the stay group has to do. So first thing is make sure that your leadership team's on board, and that you have a small control group of information that's talking about disaffiliation. And then talk to the pastor, as well as find out where the pastor is at, to see if he's going to be within the denomination or leave. And then come up with a plan and work with counsel who knows what they're doing in this area, to help you develop your corporate and your legal strategies first. And then start having discussions within your small groups do a straw poll to find out where the church is at, and then get your information going. So it's a longer term process. It takes a couple of months to get through this whole process. But the sooner that you talk to your local members and you get your leadership done and you get your governance and all your legal work done, the easier it is at the very end to move this forward.
Dan, can a local church remove board members or leaders who are funneling information to the state group?
It's really going to depend on your bylaws, on your articles of incorporation, in how you operate as a church. So a lot of churches have not adopted bylaws. They use the Book of Discipline as their bylaws. And the discipline has very little to say about how board members are removed. So what you can really do is default to state law, because that's what the discipline does. Under section 2506 of the discipline, it provides that all provisions of the discipline relating to the formation and operation of a corporation shall be in conformity with local laws, and in the event of conflict therewith, local laws prevail. So local laws defined in here as state law. So default to state law and look at your state law in terms of how incorporated or unincorporated associations, depending on what you are, how they're managed under state law, and then you can take your steps based on state law. If you're, typically speaking, if you're an unincorporated association, the members of the church have to vote to remove a board member. If you are an incorporated member, generally speaking, the board or the managers or the trustees can vote to remove members for cause. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to say for a certain reason. You can just remove them members. So it can be done, but you really need to look at your bylaws if you have them. If there's no bylaws, look at state law, and then you can kind of develop a plan to do that. In the interim, you just need to isolate that board member from information. So you don't have to have a meeting, an official meeting with that board member present and provide information and documents to that person. That's automatically going to go to the stay group or to the denomination. You can work outside of that organization, and we can certainly help you develop strategies to do that.
As always, thank you for your insight, Dan. If your church is interested in hiring our firm to help you through the process, please reach out to our office at 313-859-6000 or email us today. Thank you.